Hello, and we are live today to talk with the wonderful Alora Rose about unlocking and unblocking your wealth conscious body. She will be joining with us here very, very shortly. And hello, Randy. I am excited to go into some stories here because a big part of unlocking and so Alora is jumping on. The other cool thing is, okay, cool. She's here today. Hello.
Here we are. We did it.
We did. How are you doing today?
I'm doing amazing. Yeah, it's been a good full morning, good day.
Amazing.
Yeah. How you
I'm I am feeling a lot of things today. And
feeling?
honestly, I'm really excited to drop into this conversation with you. I know we've been chatting a lot about this offline as well. And I just have loved watching your journey as you've unlocked working with somatics and helping more people unlock and align themselves to a more free version of themselves all around. And so this conversation feels very overdue and also just ready for both of us. For anyone who doesn't know, Laura was also in my Crypto 101 program, and it was beautiful to see, even like we were talking about how you were like unlocking more wealth and like more understanding for this stuff as you were doing some of your own work. So that's my little intro. But I would love to hear from you. And I would also love for you to like introduce yourself and your work since you're very intimate with it as well. So
Yeah, beautiful. Well, thank you so much, love. And yeah, before we get started, just want to let everybody know that we're using this microcurrent frequency technology set to prosperity today for this conversation. So infusing all of the codes through the quantum
is
through this conversation. I was like,
is
I might as well add a little zhuzh to to top it off while we're at it.
totally, is that a Healy?
Hmm.
Amazing. Okay, I have my Healy as well.
Oh, nice. Yes. I
Yeah.
mean, the nervous system, energy field, quantum realm support is is always a nice addition.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, my name is Alora Rose. I am a psychospiritual somatic therapist and currently really focused on working with individuals who are, deep in their spiritual awakening process and journey and are very visionary beings, really doing a lot in the world in terms of transitioning not only their own life and businesses and practices into this new paradigm, into this new earth sphere that we're all tapping into, but people that are really attuned to activating the aspect of themselves that is their higher selves, that is their creator consciousness, and understanding themselves as a creator in this realm. And I work with the body really as a vehicle for transformation and work on the layers of the physical body, the mental body, the emotional body, and the spirit body. I work with a lot of different systems and frameworks and tools and techniques and modalities, really now in my own very integrative and holistic methodology to support people in really retemplating and restructuring their multidimensional being for a new dimensional reality, for a new framework of reality. And this conversation around wealth has been such a deep process in my own life, such a profound spiritual journey, and especially just in really in the last year, particularly integrating all of the work that I've done, in the healing space on the somatic level through the body. Through psychedelics and a lot of transpersonal work, integrating a lot of that spiritual 5D consciousness into the 3D, and tools and systems and strategies and paradigms such as crypto and your particular approach to it, being very intuitive, being very energetic, being very body centric, um, and spirit guided in so many ways, has been a huge and really critical intersection of so much of the work that I've done. And, I'm really excited about continuing to work with individuals such as yourself who are really at the forefront of this conversation from this particular lens, and knowing how our work and our perspectives and the different pillars of this transition into a new wealth consciousness, into a new paradigm of living and existing, and truly, a new paradigm of freedom, like what it really means to be a free, sovereign being inside of this existence, and how tools and systems such as the somatic therapy healing practice and its application and transition into strategic you know strategic 3D tools like crypto investing and new financial models is such an essential part of our transition, ascension, and movement into a new, not only a new framework of consciousness, but a new dimensional reality as a whole.
Ah, thank you so much for sharing all of that. And like one thing that as you're speaking, I really love how you speak about the different bodies, like the wealth body being one of them, and you mentioned all the other ones as well. What are those ones again? Can you just repeat that?
Yeah, I really work through a primarily a lineage of yoga that approaches healing through the multidimensional bodies of the being. So, starting with the physical, tangible layer, the physical body, and then zooming out to the energy body, the mental body, the emotional body, and the spiritual body. And I've built a methodology that works within those systems, as well as within the metaphysical energy centers of the body, or the chakras, and really integrated what I understand as the process of transitioning into a new wealth consciousness through the body, through the integration of all of those systems and methodologies. So really working from the ground layer of the root chakra, and we work with each chakra, with each metaphysical energy center, from the perspective of the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual aspects that pertain to each energetic sphere. And not only what needs to be addressed and attuned on the physical, nutritional, like cellular health level, but how that translates to limiting beliefs and certain programs like scarcity and poverty and fear, and what that how that corresponds to the emotional neurochemical patterning that's ingrained in the body, and then how that, of course, translates to what we spiritually have access to inside of that experience.
Yeah. Oh God. Okay, well, stories coming up as you're saying this. I'm just like, and I want to hear some stories that you've had around this as well. Because like personally for myself, like when I got into crypto and like when we're doing like crypto is just a tool to express these things, to align us to the future and to align us to a freedom version of ourselves. It's like you and I were dabbling with all these different tools and modalities to help bring the 3D things in, but we need to play in the 5D realms. Like, yeah, you guys all know the 5D versus the 3D realms is like 3D is the physicality. And like, so as you were speaking, personally, when I was hearing this, like my journey of getting into crypto was like, I first was hit with that excitement, that euphoria of like, yes, this is the future. Yes, I'm aligning to it. And then as I was building wealth and doing the things and getting into the things, I started getting all this resistance from the outside world. So whether that was from family or whether that was from even like limiting beliefs around identity of who I was, being like a good girl and having to play in the rules and all these things, I started to notice like all these limiting beliefs came up, or these like old programming systems. And even once like the wealth was there too, I started to notice where I really like the story that came out very strongly was really around being like the black sheep and almost like evading the system. Like I felt like I was cheating the system. And that totally just feels like it's programming that has been dropped in from like higher up as well. Cause it's like it's trying for us not to be free, even though you're on the pathway of freedom. Um, so I I personally have done like a lot of energy work to unlock more of that wealth, very much of like what you have said, just not in an organized system. So I would love to hear what are some of the stories, like your story of with money and with building wealth. Like, what are some of those things that have come up in your world?
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for sharing that. I mean, what's really come to me lately is, I mean, I have such a deep and intricate and kind of dark and twisty relationship with money in the financial world, especially over the last handful of years. But what I've really come to recognize is that for me, in my experience, my relationship to money and primarily this poverty programming that was so deeply ingrained in my system on a nervous system level, on a psychosomatic level, on a spiritual consciousness level, was so much at the root of every single like through line of trauma and limitation and just, for lack of a better word, like profound misalignment in my lived experience and in my life. Like this consciousness around poverty and scarcity and lack, is why I ended up getting into certain abusive relationships, why I stayed in them, why I took jobs that, were so like were so like far outside of the realm of the space that I was really supposed to be operating in, that was so far away of like the fullness of my dharma and expression, why I stayed in jobs with abusive bosses thinking that, like this is just what I need to do to survive. So many decisions that I made in my life out of fear and lack and scarcity, limitation, are all around this, poverty consciousness, poverty programming that, yeah, I mean, to your point and what we've gone so deep into in our conversations is, this program, this framework that is really intended to keep us enslaved, to keep us from our full freedom on so many levels. How that's being expressed in the physical, human experience on the material world realm in this incarnation, and then, really zooming out and seeing what's taking place on an interdimensional level on the spiritual plane to keep beings from recognizing the truth of their freedom, their sovereignty, and the abundance that is truly inherent to us. So, all of those things we could go so deep into, and it's, there's so many, yeah, there's so many kind of rabbit holes within each one of those conversations. But, I, just to kind of summarize like my personal wealth journey in this lifetime, I grew up in a really small kind of like blue collar, relatively like poor town, retirement town, small town Texas. And both my parents were public school teachers. And, my dad was sort of in and out of full time work, and money was always a big stressor. That was the primary thing that they thought about. That was, I was very clear that money was a problem, and like we didn't have enough of it, and it was scary, and there was a lot of lack and fear in my household, and a lot of recognition that like you can't really have what you want. Like, we have just enough to survive, and like we're okay. We have a roof over our head, food on the table, but it's just barely enough. And I ended up moving overseas when I was a teenager. My parents taught in international schools in Malaysia and Morocco. And so I was in these international schools where I still had this consciousness of like, I'm just a teacher's kid, like we're making like relatively like minimum wage, like minimum to moderate wage. But I was with a cohort of peers and students that had a lot, that were very wealthy. They were children of, really esteemed diplomats, and children whose parents were stationed in these, developing countries to build industry. So they're like head of massive industrial development complexes in whatever country that they were from. A lot of wealth, a lot of freedom. The school that I went to in Morocco, all of the kids there were really like Moroccan royalty. I remember going to some of their homes to like hang out after school, and it would be these sprawling like palaces, like true palaces, like Moroccan, like glamorous. And they had 5 times as many staff members in their home as they did family. And I remember going to a friend's house, and her staff was off for the afternoon, and she didn't know where her cups were, so we couldn't get anything to drink. She didn't even know where her own cups were in her house. And I was just like, oh my god. And they fly back and forth to Paris to go shopping like in the afternoon on their private planes, and it was just such a different world. So I was surrounded by profound wealth that I didn't understand, and where it was in these schools that, were probably $80,000 a year or something like that to attend, but I was going for free because my parents taught at them. So it was had access to a lot of privilege that I wouldn't have had otherwise, and was traveling the world every weekend and with my sports team. So it was a very different existence than I had a consciousness framework was. And that dichotomy was really complicated and confusing for me. And I didn't know how to access that world. It didn't feel like mine. And this, kind of extended into my professional life. The first 7 years of my career, I worked as a social worker in the mental health space, and was working with clients who were incredibly impoverished, and a lot of abuse and neglect and trauma. So like that paradigm and that matrix was very in my consciousness. I was working for the government, for like $30,000 a year, while paying for grad school, while paying off my student loans. And I was only operating within the safety of what I knew was available to me, and that was be a public servant, be on a government salary in the public sector, and you do your service, you help people, and that's what we do. I didn't have anybody in my family that was an entrepreneur or even worked in the corporate world at all. Like my entire family was teachers, nurses, principals, preachers. And yeah, and even though I was exposed to so much growing up, it didn't feel like an accessible reality. So fast forward a little bit, I ended up moving to New York City with my then husband, and he's in the corporate space. He's making good money, but I'm still kind of operating within a certain salary threshold. And we're living in this beautiful condo overlooking the East River, overlooking the New York skyline. Like, had a very luxurious, cosmopolitan, comfortable life, traveling and working and growing in our careers, and making really good money. Both of us were, kind of progressively through that time, through our 12-year marriage, and all of the career transitions that we experienced within it. And the last few years of my career, I was doing really well as in an executive role in tech and wellness companies, making six-figure salary and all the cushy things, but it still somehow felt like his money and his environment that I was just kind of a secondary character in for some reason, and I gave so much of my power in terms of finances away to him. He managed the money, he managed all the investments, he kind of operated that aspect of our life, and I was kind of just along for the ride in so many respects when it came to, really taking agency and ownership of my finances. And, I was following all the rules. I was doing everything right. I had money in my IRAs and my 401ks and had some small, investments in a brokerage account and my savings account and living within my means. And yeah, just doing all of the right things as I was trained.
It's such a woman's job of just doing as staying in the rules, staying in the boxes, not being too much, and certainly not taking ownership of finances because that comes with strict, you may get things right or wrong. There's repercussions
Yeah.
from that. There's no beauty, you can't flirt your way out of it. It's just you messed up, you're wrong.
Yeah, there was no enjoyment, and I didn't want that responsibility. I was
Ooh,
like, you handle it, you're
ooh.
good at it. Like, I don't want to mess this up. And I didn't really have a clear vision for my life. So I didn't know what I would invest in or how I would want to direct that money or those resources in so many ways. So, when that marriage and that whole lifetime and reality ended and I transitioned, which I've been doing, over the last 3 years, primarily because of kind of a whole nother layer of awakening that happened during 2020. And I was like, okay, this whole world, this whole paradigm is a sinking ship. It's a crumbling reality. It's an unsafe structure, and I have to get out of here as fast and as far as I can. And I didn't know exactly like what it was that I didn't understand what I was tuning into and what I was feeling in terms of like the structure and the research and the tangible aspects of it. But it felt like this tidal wave was like coming up behind me, and I was like, I gotta start
I
swimming. Like I
relate so big. Oh my God, you're describing it so real. It,
it was
what month? What
such
month?
a
What month was it for you in 2020 that you felt it?
ugh. Well, I started investing in crypto, like very blind, very just like, I don't know, I have a little extra money to play with now, so I'm gonna invest in Bitcoin and Ethereum, in probably January, right when it was the most expensive. Right when it was the most expensive, when everybody's like, yeah, it's time.
Yeah.
Like it's going to the moon. So put some money into that, and that, was kind of the first, like one of many first shifts in terms of, making some tangible changes in my financial reality. And that really kind of opened up a whole new world that I started exploring and looking into. And it was one of those experiences of kind of an intuitive psychic awareness, a very visceral somatic sensation of, something is being cleared out and a whole new space is being created for a new architecture to be built in every aspect of my reality, and finances were certainly one of them. And and I just started making moves like one at a time, kind of not really knowing exactly what I was doing, but knowing that I was listening to an intuitive hit, and I would figure it out and fill in the blanks later as, my entire reality was shattering along with so many other people's. Um,
Totally.
it was
Like
really that
I,
void space
I,
of,
I
this
totally
world's
felt the
crumbling, and we're building the spaceship while we're learning to fly it at the same time.
totally It's like 2020, it even felt like before things got chaotic, it was like the little pings came in. Like personally for me, I left my corporate career, engineering career back, it was January 10th of 2020. But like I gave my notice like 3 months beforehand. It was like all these alignments were done. And then I flew abroad before everything happened. It was like we were all being set up. I find it's a lot of things started in 2020, and now it's just like there's a lot more, because even as we talk about the energetic field, it's like you have to tune your energetic body up. Like you take the actions, and at the same time you're tuning to allow you to receive more and more of it. And then it's like once you're on the journey, that's where it's just like, okay, the awakening has begun. You just keep dropping in more templates to be like, oh, I can trust in this future. I can trust in the future. I don't know where it is, but like one step, next step, buy a little crypto, research and watch these little YouTube videos here and there, start to see more and open up and open up.
Yeah, yeah. And and during that time, I was doing a lot of my own healing work. I was really applying all of my therapeutic somatic tools on my own body and on my own system through that process. So, I was very clear of what was being cleared out of my system, these programs, these densities of patriarchy and poverty and codependence and the fear around finances. Like I really felt and, facilitated the extraction of these realities from my system. And as those cords were cut, as those programs and densities and traumas around money were being removed from my being, what what started to peer into my reality, the access points, just the messages, the things that would like come into my field, the people that would drop me a clue, drop me a resource, things that would start to come in with that space that was created. I just would follow them and know that like everything that I was being shown, and starting to trust myself, my intuition, my guidance more, everything that I was being shown, I would act on and fill in fill in as many of the blanks as I could at that time with the research and the information. And it's just kind of this multi-system like navigation process of realigning to a whole new paradigm and a whole new reality on every single level.
Yeah. Ooh. Hold on, I took some things. I'm like, there's so many rabbit holes to go down within this.
Yeah.
Um, obviously. Um, okay. Particularly feeling called as being, we're going to use like the whole women archetype. Because I find we can use this here, but it's also a greater reflection of what's going on Earth right now. So, in particular, at this time, like I was looking back and I did some research and I was like, when was the first time? Like, my question for you is, when do you think the first year was that a woman could own her own credit card in her own name?
Well, I feel like I just learned this and it was shocking to me.
Yes.
It was like 1980 or something like that. It was like not that long ago.
74. That's 50 years. Like crazy. And before that, like that's why women needed to marry men, is because they couldn't have it. Think about being a single woman. You couldn't, and it wasn't even until the 60s that women could own a bank account under their own name. So like think about it. Women for
Like, yeah,
so
my
long.
mother, this blows my
Oh
mind.
my God,
Blows my
yes.
mind.
So
Yeah.
it's like we're finally at that point, and it's like that's one reflection, but we're at this point in life, collectively in the globe, where a lot of these old paradigms have shifted, and we are the first generation where this is possible to do it in a different way. So no wonder we feel a little bit hesitant because it's new territory for us to be like, is it really safe for us to do this? Like we have this lineage and energy patterns that's all filled with old a baggage from what we've taken, but we can be like, but what we've seen and we feel, we're like, we feel that this is a safe path, we just don't have an example yet, and therefore we're like looking to each other, and we're gathering our light army, we're taking the steps, and then also we're taking the steps as our family goes, what are you doing? And we say, trust us, trust us, trust us. You may think we're crazy right now, but trust us. In the long run, you're going to get it, and then you're probably actually going to end up learning from me. But that's like, I think that right now it's really important just for us to be able to acknowledge that, and then realize like you're building your own trust in yourself at this time. Therefore, it's like so important for us to like really assemble our light team of like, who are those people here who have done it before us that can also help us out with this further ascension of freedom in creating the life that we want to live and that we're being invited into live. Like you said at the very beginning around alignment, like that just really stuck with me, where I'm just like, all of the work that we're doing, it's just dropping us into deeper alignment with not only ourselves but also with where the consciousness of the earth is shifting to as well at this time.
Yeah, yeah, beautiful, and like so many important, profound points in that, and it's really kind of understanding that this is such a multi-system paradigm shift, and each one of us that are kind of being called into this conversation with our unique lens, our unique access point into this shift. It's so important that we work collectively and systematically in this transition process, because no, it's not just the healing work. It's not just the business strategy. It's not just the investment strategy. It's not, it, it's all of it simultaneously and in a very intelligently designed sort of roadmap and succession process, and kind of this just like ascension and transformation in general. It is a spiral journey. I'm going to keep having to revisiting different layers of my healing process and resetting my energy and clearing out the epigenetic material that's preventing me from making certain moves in my business, making certain investments, opening up my mind and my consciousness to things like different aspects within the crypto space, within NFT. I mean, the whole structure of that, it's like there needs to be so much space available and an entirely new neurocircuitry wired in your system to be available to make moves in this space. Otherwise it's like it won't work. It won't work. You can push all the buttons and do all the things and buy all the coins, but if your nervous system is not in alignment with that process, if your energy field has static and distortion, it doesn't matter. It actually does not matter what buttons you push or what moves you make. There's going to be a, a pattern, a pattern disrupt. Like those two worlds can't actually align and work together. So I think it's so important for people to understand it's not just what you're doing, and it's not just the healing work. Like, we have to bridge these two worlds and bridge it in a really conscious, intentional, well supported, well resourced way, and like continue to work together to keep calibrating to these things. And like, I don't have the time or the bandwidth or really the architecture in my being to do what you're doing and the way that you're able to plug into that world and the research and how it speaks to you. Like, I need you to do that. Like, and likewise, it's like you can't spend the next 20 years like b- building into your system all of these healing modalities to support people simultaneously while you're coaching them through this process. It's like, no, like and this is part of the new earth as well. Like, we're exchanging services, we're exchanging magic and gifts. Like, we yeah, like, currency may continue to be an aspect of the energy exchange that we engage in. But, where a world where everybody really is their own business and their value is what they can offer as a service, is also an aspect of, the new earth that we're moving into, and one that I think is so important for everyone to really like insulate into their being, that like what I'm naturally curious about, what naturally like lights me up and vibrates me on a higher level is what I'm meant to be doing and playing in and sharing and teaching on. And I don't have to know everything or learn it all or become an expert in every single field that is still in the process of construction. Like
Yes. It's
we need
just
to learn how to, like,
discernment for sure.
yeah.
And it's like that. I don't know about you, but like I left the corporate world because that did not feel like it was in alignment with me. And I wanted to feel more purposeful in life and have that passion meet the purpose. And I found that the more that I weed out what I'm not good, like what is not my zone of genius, and I'm like, I hire in all of my energy workers. I'm like, please support me. Like, I want to be more time in my zone of genius and more in my passion. I need help. And also, I don't want to do this journey alone. Like, we're here to uplift each other. um
Mm-hmm.
okay, so one topic I did really really want to cover in this part is an important milestone for me was, okay, so when I was in the crypto space, 2020, that first year was wild for me. That was when I experienced the 25K going to over $500,000, and I noticed my nervous system and energy body wasn't ready for that growth. And so since then, like I took my profits still in six figures, went through a whole other loophole with like tax initiations and things that like I resisted. And anyways, not going to get down that rabbit hole, but I've ultimately over the past few years, I noticed how much my energy body wasn't ready to receive. And I've spent a lot of time now focusing on the difference between riches versus wealth, and noticing that it's a very subtle energy flip. But if like to build riches, anyone can get rich, anyone can make money, and you can also spend it or you can lose it as well. But if you want to build wealth, that takes not only systems, it takes a certain it's a different relationship to money, to being like, it's like a child, like I love this. And that takes a different level of intentionality as well. I would love to hear, like, so I just noticed a lot of personal energetic growth that I've had to do over the years to create something that has like foundation and growth, and that's going to be here for a lifetime to stay. I would love to hear of any thoughts that you have around like the differences of building your rich body versus your wealth body and that frequency shift.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And that, I mean, that one's so deep and multi-layered as well. And I too have had to really pivot in my relationship to this thing called money, and really I've started relating to her as a being. Like, she is a being with a consciousness that desires to support us, and also like desires to be
I love
interactive.
this.
Yeah, like, I mean, she's a sister. Like, like she is a being with, like, a profound aliveness. And she really wants to not only be honored, but like have intentionality around like where she's directed, who gets to hold her, like for how long, and like, really relating to her as a consciousness. And that's been a huge shift in my experience and how it's materialized in my reality. I mean, truly, since I started really integrating the somatic and spiritual healing work and relating to financial structures, to the being of money in a new way, with those two systems happening at the same time, what has changed and shifted in my financial reality and in my material world, like actually on the basis of the numbers that are in my accounts, actually does not make any sense. Like, it does not make linear sense. Like, it's truly like energetic quantum magic what is happening in, like, is something going wrong here with the banking system? Like, are they just doubling everything that's coming in. Like I don't understand what's going on. I'm still kind of
Okay,
still
okay,
kind
okay,
of
okay.
working with that.
So
That's
I,
that's one part of it.
so I would love to hear as you speak. You're speaking about money as
Mhm.
her.
Mhm.
Um, I've been working recently in these past few months. Mindset has been a huge thing, but I'm noticing mindset isn't just mental; it's the lens we see it out. So, how do you speak to her? How do you speak to money? Like whether that's in the morning or in the day. What is the tone? What is the frequency? What are some things like? Describe
Yeah.
her to me.
Yeah, I've really like started speaking to her and relating to her as my inner feminine, kind of as the Shakti energy that has this fire and this creativity and this like joie de vivre and like really and has like a profound purpose. It's like this part of my inner feminine that I think got so dampened and suppressed with the the patriarchy and the linearity that I had really internalized in my system. So, a lot of my healing work has been really, really like allowing my feminine to like come fully to the forefront and allowing my intuitive magic to direct a lot of my decisions, but also really reinforcing and activating my internal masculine. And that like really healthy balanced divine union within has been another huge and vital layer of it. But yeah, the being of money, it's like I'm really relating to her as an aspect of myself and an aspect of one of the archetypes that lives within me, but a force and a consciousness that is part of the interwoven nature of everything and all of us. And that too, kind of like that aspect of oneness and collective consciousness and unity and shared vision, I think is also a profound transition and shift in how she's showing up.
Yeah. Yeah. Hmm. So shifts are like treating her more as a part of you. And then are you speaking to her like more through like with curiosity and with more like love, versus more like demanding or where are you?
Mm-hmm.
Do you take her on dates or like ask her like how she wants to
Yeah.
play?
Yeah, all of that. I mean, and a lot more just like honoring energy, every dollar, every cent that comes in, even if it's something small. I remember the other day I got some like $3 back from your like Rakuten whatever subscription. Is like I could have been like, oh, $3. And I'm like, oh wow, like this surprise $3. Like beautiful, thank you. Like, I can buy a tea with that. Like and everything that goes out, really like saying a prayer, particularly when I'm sending money to like other healers or practitioners or professionals, like other beings such as yourself that I'm working with, that like, I want to support your mission and your magic and what you're doing in the world, and really infusing that with my energy, my intention, my prayer, and like infusing using the being of money and her consciousness with my own, and like let's work together in this symbiosis and transfer into this other being that is also a part of me, part of the being of wealth, and part of the collective consciousness of abundance that is weaving and building and creating all of the time, that we're always in collaboration with.
Always. Oh, okay. What's really hitting me, this feels really different and cool. As you're speaking, I'm like, what's the difference thread? Even that as I'm constantly working on my own stuff too, where I'm like, how can I work with her in a different way? And it even feels like when you're saying sending the money out back and forth, you're, I find in the spiritual world too, it can sometimes be like, oh, just send it out like freely. But it feels much more empowered for you of being like, I'm purposefully casting this prayer, this energy, because I believe in this in the world and I want to support and help elevate this in the world as well. And I know that when I rise, other rises as well. And it becomes more of like you speaking about your past of of giving your finances away to your ex-husband, like you are actually being like, I take her as money. I believe in her. I trust her. And I know that she's going to come back tenfold.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And that level of trust in her, myself, and in our collaborative, co-creative capacity is critical and a huge part of it. And I've started really understanding kind of this um, like the different layers of wealth consciousness through the lens of the body and the operating system that we're engaging with it in, and each one being a really critical component. And this is part of the methodology that I've created and work within. The ground layer is that initial investment, is that initial like trust fall. It's like,
Ooh,
don't know
that's it's too
when,
that's the
yeah,
choice.
is the choice. Like that initial investment, like even if, I maybe it's all I have, maybe I don't know how it's like where it's coming from, but like this is the initial trust and collaborative prayer with the being of money that gets the entire circuitry, that gets the entire system into motion. Like for example, with you and going into your program, like that investment, that trust, that co-collaborative prayer, like, I'm giving you this energy and you're giving me your energy and your information and your transmission, and that starts kind of moving up the system, the generation layer, really based in the sacral chakra. Like, okay, this creative life force, this power of creation, that now like more can come from that. And then we move up to the solar plexus and the wealth holding body, where it's like, okay, like I have this and I trust myself with it. I trust myself to hold it, to know what to do with it. I don't feel shame around having this amount of wealth or riches. I'm responsible. I'm a good steward of it.
Yes.
And then, the heart layer is like, I'm able to receive more. I can take more in. I have capacity to receive. I trust what is coming into my field. And then I can use that to create from, through my expression, through my intentions, through the conversations, through what I can build, through my truth, through the truth of my voice. And then like I'm receiving inside of those conversations, I'm then starting to like activate the third eye center. I'm receiving the visions for what can even be more expansive with this wealth. The conversation that we had the other day was so affirming, so expansive, so powerful, like that we're both receiving this vision of creating retreat centers and transformational spaces for people who, like both of us, are transitioning from one world, one paradigm to another, and need support, need resources, need a full like re-education model for not only their physical and energetic healing, their psychosomatic structures, but what applications in the real world, how to create, inform conscious businesses, how to collaborate with visionaries of the new earth, and then from that place, recognizing, yeah, we're all downloading, receiving our own version of the same source wisdom. We are all connected to our unique channel to God, to source, to the oneness of creation, and through that channel and an integrated mind body spirit complex, through an integrated 7 system wealth body architecture, all of that can be online, all of that can be aligned and enacted in this physical world, in this material realm, to create heaven on earth.
Truly. And like as you're saying all of these, like I can see the weaving, there's so much weaving that we keep going back and forth between the masculine and feminine. Like I almost see, like as you're speaking, I just see like the DNA of the balance between the harmony between it both, because as we are building out our wealth consciousness and we're unlocking this body
Yeah.
to allow us to hold more power, have more impact in the world. Money is just a tool of energy. But as we do that, we need the systems and structures to support us to allow that feminine to speak.
Right.
Because if she doesn't feel safe, she is going to throw a tantrum on the other side of being a woman, of like, oh my God, I don't feel safe in this world. I don't feel safe with the wealth. I don't feel safe with these things. And that's very much like, as we're speaking about the weaving of like the new earth paradigm, is really much like all of us weaving together and supporting us as we're stepping into this system. It's, you have to have that masculine support, that structure to your plans as you're moving these things in. That's why you joined like the work that I do around crypto, of giving you with a plan, aligning to the high growth cryptos, teaching you how to speak the language. Like, you need the structure to support the money, her, to feel safe to be in that new system and in that new way.
Yeah, 100%. And yeah, I mean, like we've both had so many interesting experiences where we're doing the right thing on paper, or in terms of the moves, the investments, like we've got the information, but something has not been cleared or integrated or stabilized in our masculine feminine balance, in our psychosomatic architecture. And even, the on paper it looks like you did all the right things, somehow that money disappears, or somehow, like, you manifest a huge expense, or something is stolen, or like the 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 universe, the quantum field, has a really intelligent way of organizing all of these things in our experience. And that there can be some really scary and painful initiations in that. And I think we have to understand that this universe, nature, spirit, God is so profoundly intelligent, and everything is always in balance. It may not seem that way in the moment, but everything is always organizing for ultimate balance and homeostasis. And we have to be in such a high degree of multidimensional integrity and awareness, so that we can operate within that. Otherwise, we're gonna get taken on quite a wild ride. And I know we both have our own versions of that. And that's why we're doing what we're doing, and guiding people through this process in the way that we are, because we've been through the initiations, we've been through the fires of transformation. It's like, okay, we have a system now, and a set of tools to facilitate this process, hopefully so much more gently and easily for so many others. And that's our mission, and that's our service. And what a gift, and what an honor to do that work in our unique ways.
Oh, all the things, all the things. We are coming upon the hour, and so I do just want to give time and space for us to conclude and wrap things up. For yourself, is there any closing things that you'd like to be able to drop in? I have a feeling we're gonna be doing more of this,
I
because they're just so, like, it's so activating between us both that we're just like, yep, things are coming through.
I'm gonna have to like run around the block a few times after this to like burn it off. It's so fun.
I'm going to download this too and drop it out to my Twitter and my YouTube community as well, so we can get this out to more spaces as well, because these are conversations that need to be bottled up and stored for more people to shift into wealth. But for yourself, any concluding things you'd like to wrap up, any directions that you'd like to push people in,
Mm.
nudges?
Beautiful. Beautiful. Well, I mean, first, it's just such an honor to be in partnership with you in this way that continues to inform itself. And yeah, so beautiful just to be in this conversation that feels so important for what humanity as a collective is shifting into. And, I know we're really starting to attune our directional sense around this conversation of freedom and sovereignty, and all of the layers and systems, that exist within that, and that feels like the next deep dive for sure. And I think the thing I just love to leave with is like, there's so much out there. There's so much information and input out there, and the ability to resonate with another human, and not 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 knowing like for sure if this alignment is going to result in what I anticipate or try to project is the reason, why I'm investing in this, or I feel called to this. But just really wanting to encourage everyone to like follow their curiosity and follow those intuitive guidances, and where they're being pulled energetically, even if you don't know exactly where it will lead. Like that is your divine DNA. Like that is the source code within you, unlocking and leading you down the path of your ultimate destiny and your ultimate fulfillment. And riches and money and material things, they can be great, but they are certainly not the answer to fulfillment and happiness. I think we both know that firsthand. And so really shifting the conversation from riches and financial success to multidimensional wealth, and what that looks like on the basis of physical health and vitality, on mental clarity uh, and acuteness, to like emotional peace and homeostasis, spiritual aliveness and thriving, having not only an abundance of financial resources, but just resources of all kinds. And that looks like community and access points to food forests and resources for building, structures, and investing in projects that are designed to support the health and the thriving of Mother Earth, and the next generation of leaders and children. It's like really shifting our awareness out of this very myopic, self-based, like my bank account, my house, my investments, what I think that I need to be safe, to be secure in this reality, and really understanding the intricate, infinite, multi-layered, supremely vast system of true abundance and wealth that is available to us when we go through whatever process of initiations and journey and reacclimation that we're called to, that we're led to plug into an entirely new paradigm and dimensional reality, a new consciousness layer for what is possible for our lives. Like, I really believe like we don't ascend from here. Like we stay here on this earthly plane, but we can live and exist in and experience completely different realms of reality and realms of ourselves when we align to the aspect that wealth is a consciousness. It is not a material reflection of safety or value, or what is available to us. What is available will present itself when you understand that it's energetic, it's quantum, and it is created by your consciousness, not the other way around.
This is going to have to be a deeper conversation for next time. I've personally been working with this a lot recently, and I have a lot to learn here as well. I also took notes where I'm like, we're going to go deeper into the multidimensionality of wealth and the different layers and levels that live there, because that is a conversation and awareness to drop into people's radar of like there are levels and there are tiers. Um, okay, I thoroughly enjoyed all of this. Thank you
I
so
love the
much.
conversation so much. Yeah, is there anything that you would like to end on or transmit or just yeah, feeling called to share?
Um, for anyone who's been in my world, I have my crypto 101 program. That's like the real thing I just want to get out to people is like we do all these have these conversations, but the 2D, the 3D actually taking the step in to the things and getting the system to support you and having it be known so you're not faced with fears, but instead empowerment and excitement around your financial future. Like that's really where I want to spearhead a lot of things for people. So that's a 5-week program. You've been in it, loved it, raved about it. I talk a lot about consciousness in the space as well, and building a plan to really support your nervous system. And that begins on July 16th. If anyone is a complete newbie to crypto and they want like a why crypto, why now, I have a 20-minute talk that I just gave this past weekend, and I would love to send it to you. So feel free to drop into my DMs and I can send that to you as well. Um, but that's all I really have for today. Like absolutely loved this time with you.
Me too. So grateful for you and the work that you're doing. So honored to, yeah, just continue to collaborate and create with you. And yeah, just really excited about everything that's coming into both of our spaces and the ways in which we are making ourselves available to support others in this journey. And yeah, I just love you so much.
Love you too. Have
All right,
a beautiful day,
you
and
too.
I look forward to playing with you next.
Always. All right, my love. See you
Okay,
soon. Take care.
see you
Bye.
soon. Bye.